Hello, everybody. Oh, hey, Ben. Good
Hello.
to see you.
Oh,
How,
I'm getting major feedback.
I'm not sure
Oh,
where you're getting
never mind.
feedback from.
I know why.
Greg's
Because
technically issuing, guys.
I left my video up on my computer when I shouldn't have.
How is everybody doing this fine Sunday?
Hi, Ben. Hi, Ray. Hi, Stig.
Everybody?
Hopefully, everyone's having a lovely Sunday or Sunday evening, wherever you are.
Yeah, or Monday morning.
Yeah, if you're down under, I'm sure it's that time already.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what's new and exciting,
Well,
Greg?
I don't know. Just been doing the normal stuff. Been doing stuff with the kids. My daughter's doing an engineering project with Mark Rober, and so that's kind of cool. So she's done her first one. She made we had to print couple parts for it. She made a snack launching cannon.
I saw the picture. I don't know if I still have it, but if you guys ever saw that episode of Mythbusters where they make the chicken cannon, same thing but with candy.
Hopefully healthy stuff, not just candy.
Yeah, smack the wall. Yeah, hey, thanks, Ben, for reminding everybody. Hit that like button. Helps us out a lot. The metrics in YouTube love it when people hit like and recently comment. So commenting in the video boosts the video as well, which is strange. But hey, YouTube has strange ways, and that's the way they like it.
Yeah, and if you haven't, think of subscribing because we don't, even though we've been doing this a while, we still have I think it's 80% of people that watch our videos don't subscribe. So
yep, which
there's my pre-show plug.
I think
we'll get that all out of the way.
Yeah, it's got to be more than 80% because on those videos I have 50,000 views or whatever, right? It's the math. True. Thanks for your great. Hey Ben, no problemo, man. We're learning a lot about the E3 Turbo, and it's been a fun process. So, yeah, I love doing it, and I look forward to doing the next one on them too. We've got a couple cool hacks coming out for Marlin. One involves ordering some thermistors. And
I have the thermistors.
Right. Greg has the thermistors, and we're going to be doing some heat comparison, specifically on the motherboard, because especially when the TMC drivers started coming out, the 2130s, right? The first gens that we saw, they were really, really hot. Hey Pierre, 4 minutes late. Don't worry, we don't take attendance until half hour, so you're good.
No late slip for
no
you.
late slips. But a lot of people were concerned with cooling and driver heat, which is valid, right? The hotter things get, the worse it gets for electronics.
You don't want any skipping due to weird heating issues.
And so we are going to be, and I think it's going to be a team effort. Greg has the Turbo SKR 1.4 Turbo board. I have the Turbo E3 board. And we got a bunch of SKR 1.3s. I think we can get our hands on we have an unknowing volunteer that has the E3 dip. She will be happy to help us, I'm sure, but I haven't told her that she's helping us yet. So you might see a guest person pop up here when we do those videos. But there's lots of people that preach cooling, but nobody. I have a spare. See, look, Raymond says he has a spare.
he could be our guest.
He could be our guest guinea pig. Yeah, right. I think. Did I work on yours, Ray, or Richard's? I forget which one I worked on.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was Richard's. Yeah, because he was having it. Yeah. I remember that. But so that's coming out. That'll be fun and cool. Cool. It's a pun. Get it? Because cool. Okay. Yeah, moving on. So that's kind of coming up probably in the next. We'll have to get a little bit of time for that one. So a month maybe that'll be out. But we got some really cool other things that we're going to be showing. Now the title of the stream is not clickbait, folks.
Ray says he could send us the board on Friday.
Oh, hey, that'd be sweet, and then we can, we could ferry it back to you.
Did you order the extra TMC driver that you talked about?
No, I never did. I never ordered it. I still could. Because he hasn't sent yet, and we know a guy. Anyway, so. The stream this week, we called it, and I quote, "There's better benchmarks out there, I swear." Not clickbait, but hey, I have an SKR Mini E3 V1.2 and 2209s, and I haven't had any problems related to overheating. And that's what I've actually found. It's very, very true. These new drivers, especially the 2209s, anything that has that cool step or cool guard, I forget the branded name. It's either Cool Step or Cool Guard. Yeah. They have bigger cooling pads on them, and they have an easier time of cooling themselves down. And we found that out, I think, was it 3 weeks ago now? But when we first put in the board, the E3 Turbo board, we were doing some heat testing because it has that onboard thermistor. And we printed with the fan and without the fan, about 2-hour prints. And without the fan, the board got to just shy of 50. It's called 48. With the fan, the board actually didn't peak like 34, right? So it was a difference. Right. But I guess that is the question. When does I think it's really when you get to 60 and above when your board starts to degrade. And that's like when you're throwing it in an enclosure.
And I'll throw it out there. I have a SKR 1.3, 1.4 turbo, and I've got 2208s, 2209s, and I've never had an overheating issue. But if you've seen any of my fan mods, I got a lot of air moving over my.
Greg enjoys
board,
big fans. Cool step. Yes,
I kind of go crazy because I always put one of these on, and it quiets it right down. And I have no sound issues. All my fans on all my printers are on right now, and you can't hear them.
Yeah, and I agree with Ben and Greg. They're both saying the same thing, where active cooling is better. And yes, having cooling is always better than not having cooling, and active cooling is the best.
All electronics like to be nice and
chill, man. That's the reason, actually. So I built the Teaching Tech Ender case. If you guys know what I am talking about, it's an all-in-one case. Maybe I'll find it here and show you in a second. But basically, you put a Raspberry Pi on one side, and then you put your controller on the other. When those two were together, my controller was sitting at 60. Yeah, so that's the idea. Greg's got a piece of it right there.
This is the Pi one.
Yeah.
Side, but
it's not quite the Teaching Tech one either, but that's a really good one. It's the same idea. So and overheating wise, I have had overheating issues, and those issues have been on my SX4. I was struggling with layer skipping on the SX4. If you guys don't know, it's a big Core XY, and the drivers were working really hard to throw that print head around. So the fix to that was a little 4010 fan with a duct pointing right at the drivers, and it just blows over the drivers. So active cooling again, right?
Yeah, and I think you had to turn up the voltage on those, didn't you? So that's part of why they got as hot as they did, right?
Yeah, the voltage. So like on your Ender 3 size-ish machine, your VREF, so you're on the drivers, could be as low as 500, and it still works just fine.
I've seen it 580, right? I think is what the standard setting is, yeah.
And then when you move up to slightly bigger printers, you're sitting 700 to 900 on a Chiron or a CR10S, those kind of sizes. But yeah, the SX4, the drivers that drive the X and Y are at 1100.
That's pretty high.
But man, it throws that like, well, you know, it throws that print head around. And
200 millimeters
enjoyed your
a
Z
second.
offset video. I'd agree about baby stepping. 200. And it was 200. Like I changed all the little sub numbers for walls and infill and everything to 200.
And Stig says it's called Cool Step.
Yeah, Cool Step. Yeah,
I remember it.
I can never remember their brand names, but I always remember what they do. Pierre says, I liked your Z offset video. Thank you, sir. And he says, I'd love to see a baby stepping video. So, baby stepping it is. We'll have a follow-up video on the baby stepping side of the offset videos. So, hopefully you guys can... I mean, that video was a long time coming. I think the first request for that one was like in May or June. And then I did bad. Sorry, guys. I'll do better.
Well, there was just some pandemic thingy that kind of derailed us. And,
who knew?
And now we're slowly getting back on track.
I know, right? So, yeah, I mean, we'll have that cooling series. We're going to use thermistors. It's not a trademarked idea by any means. What we're going to do is put thermistors, and we're going to make it so we can like attach a thermistor to our stepper drivers or in the control board case and see what the heat impact is on voltage and active cooling and all that stuff. So it should be a really cool one. It's going to definitely be it'll be a spreadsheet video. You know what I'm saying? It's nerdy. There's data.
but nerdy and data, that's fine too.
Oh yeah, that's right up our alley. So we're going to talk. It's a topic I like to talk, and it's about calibration. And we are specifically talking calibration for FDM printers, not resin printers right now. The rules change a bit when you're talking resin. So this is FDM, and then we're not talking about things like the belt printer because almost none of these will work on the belt printer.
That's true.
So we're talking like regular FDM.
Neither of us have a belt printer, so
I got like a big tarp. We could like pull it and then get a 3D printing pen. Right? Same thing? No? Okay.
Yeah,
I think so. So in the depending on when you guys joined the video, the issue will be getting the data from the thermistors. Yes, sir, and we have overcome that issue. So we have a good way to do it. I hope it will be analyzing. Oh yes, it will be. It will definitely be his kind of nerdy.
There'll be a lot of how the setup was set up, and then how we got the data, and then all that. Very, very nerdy.
All the goodness. This is probably going to be one of our like bigger undertakings too, because like I said, it's going to involve like probably 3 people, and if Ray's willing to share the board, I don't know. We might have to buy some steppers from you, Ray. We'll discuss after, but it's going to be great.
Well, I do have tons of 4988s that we could do a comparison with.
That's true. We can do it the old drivers too. Punny, huh? It's totally punny.
And I have 2130s also.
Oh yeah, that's right. So we've got some good times.
So we don't have everything for drivers, but it'll give us a good, and we have 82 whatever they are, 8225.
Yeah, the Lurge. Yeah.
So we've got a number of different steppers that we can throw at this to get a good idea, and we can even make a little heat box.
Yeah, you're right. Stig, something did happen to the feed. It was really weird. It went down to 0 bits sending to 27,000 kilobits sending. Now we're back to normal, so the feed should be fine. I have no idea what happened there. So I'm going to show you guys something neat. So let's talk calibration. I'm going to switch. So here is my print bed of calibration. Some of these I did this week, some of them I did last week, and some of them I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Yeah, if you're having issues, just fire the reload. It's very strange because it says we're okay on our side, and we're only dropping like 0.3% of frames. But so we have links for all of these as well. But like, if you guys aren't from,
they're all in the show notes. So if any of you have not tried printing these before or would like to try, we put links to all of them in the description.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got little guys. So if you want quick little prints to know what's going down, Marvin is a great option, as well as a calibration cube. And I didn't have a calibration cube because I think everybody can type calibration cube in. But Marvin's really good because he's got overhangs at the top of them. And then he's got like the little overhangs in the eyes as well between the legs. And he's a great indicator if you're stringing. So between those two posts in his head for the keychain, he can tell you if you're stringing. So Marvin is a great little 3D print. And when I say little, there's my finger. Like, he's little guy for calibration. I think it's a 15-minute print at 60.
Pierre had a quick question. Yep. He says, is it for 0.4? Yes, but you could definitely try these on other nozzle sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I think all these originally were optimized for 0.4. Yep. But if you scaled them or up and then tried a larger one, you could do it, or you could just see how they work, and see how your cooling is working with the larger nozzle too. You're not going to get as fine a detail as you can see on the screen with a 1 millimeter nozzle.
Yeah, like if you're going lower, all of these will work with smaller nozzles. I think the only one that probably would struggle out of this group with, like, let's say 0.6. If you're at a 0.6 or lower, you could print everything successfully or very close to successfully, except the Marvin. He gets a little small, and the layer lines would be a little bit tough for the slicer to handle. But yeah, if you're going bigger, the guys in the back here will be a better choice. So, like, I don't know, we talked about him last week, but there's Castle in the Air. And Castle in the Air has some great features. So one is Castle in the Air clicks together. So if you have two castles in the air, you should be able to test your tolerance by clipping them together, which is great, right? It does have some bridging on the top. It has fine details as well there. So you can actually see if you're printing it, as well as the wall. And then you have like overhangs and more tolerance testing in the corner, as well as a base similar to the model that you don't see up here, just to check your bottom level. So that one was a little off. I'm not going to talk about all of them, obviously, but like Cali Cat's been around a while. I don't know. Anybody print a Cali Cat? Cali Cat's great for the overhangs, and as well as the bridging on the bottom of Cali Cat. But
yeah, I find that if your cooling isn't great, the tail doesn't come out so great.
Yeah, so. And the tail gives you good overhang. And if you don't scale Cali Cat up, his head can be used as a XYZ cube, as well as his tail. So you can get your measurements there. Again, YouTube went to 0, back to 36,000. I don't know what's going on there. So that's kind of the first few that we like. Now we did find one that I'm going to talk about, and Greg knows which one it is. I'm just waiting for the YouTube bandwidth to come back. Or this, guys, are we back? If we're back, give me a thumbs up. It looks like we're back.
I see us on my cell phone, and it looks good.
Okay. So all the bottles in the back, I'll just name them quick. You got Sir Layersalot, Wicked because you print him hollow. Mini Joel, Wicked because you print him hollow. AstroPrint Rocket, wicked because you print it hollow and it has stuff. Same thing with filament. Astronaut Phil, you print him hollow. He's got some gaps. But the coolest one that we found, boop, is that guy. Hi. Have you got any experience with NeoPixels on the SKR 1.4? The answer is...
Well, funny you should say that.
Yes, hilarious. Well, look at those.
So I have some here, and that is going to David. Plus our legends came with NeoPixels. So we will be doing something on NeoPixels and whatnot. And I have the extra voltage regulator on my 1x4 turbo too, for just to handle the LED. So we will be doing a video on that. Yes.
Yeah, and that won't be long. Like, this week's video is about a certain broken model, and then probably after that we'll have the NeoPixel video out. I just want to point out this guy, and then we're not going to talk about any more models. But this guy here, I don't know if you guys have seen him, but he's called the Scientist, and Greg has printed him as well. I'm going to switch back to make your screen big, Greg. One sec. There. So the Scientist. And the Scientist has crazy overhangs. It also prints spheres and balls. See? Whoa, too far. Spheres and balls. And he has some great fine detail in his face. Yeah, there it is. Right? And then all the gaps give you stringing. Now, all of these test prints that I showed today came off my Ender 3 Pro with a direct drive. So it works quite well. And hopefully Greg gets his so we can have that video out.
Mine was off of a stock Ender 3 hot end with just completely stock hot end. So
did you have stringing at all on it, or I forget?
Very slight, like almost none. Like it worked out really good. I did do a tweak on a Precisizer setting because I was getting a little blooping up the leg, and then I did a tweak, and then I did the paint on seam at the back just to make sure there was no steam on the front legs, and that cleared it all up. So that's the nice thing. If you're getting weird artifacts up the leg from your seam and whatnot, Precisizer, you can direct a seam to somewhere. And sometimes throwing it in the rear isn't the best. So with Prusa, you can paint on different areas you want the seam to be, and then they're more hidden to when you look at the model.
Totally.
So just a
little. Stig asked a question. Got printed with what resolution? Where did you print yours at, Greg? That Scientist guy.
That was the resolution was 0.2.
Yeah. Okay. My Scientist was 0.2.
I didn't do anything crazy. It was just 0.2, and then I also did one of the Mando models. I don't know if you want to go to my camera.
I would love to go to your camera. Hold on, big camera.
I got a little stringing on his gun and a little string down here, but very, very little. The underneath of the cape turned out really well. It's like almost the stringing's like almost not there. I could probably tweak it a little more. Again, 0.2 layer height. And this is what is it? Strong Hero 3D silk copper.
Yeah,
I think is what it is. So.
Like, not sponsored, but good filament, guys. I've used it for a while and I like it. And just to finish up with that thought path there, these two models here. So the Rocket, anytime I print clear filament, I always go for a higher layer height. So it's 0.32 on an Ender, and then this one was 0.28. So just so y'all know, but when you're printing the calibration stuff, it's always a good idea if you have a 0.4 nozzle and you want to make sure that you're calibrated in, if you're just testing the filament, if you know that you're just going to be printing somewhere between, say, like 0.12 and 0.32 resolution, test in the middle. It gives you a good idea of what your results might be in the end. And some, like I mentioned, some prints are quicker than others for calibration. I don't like Benchy anymore. I don't know about Greg.
I still like Benchy.
I'll print him. I'm fond of him.
Even though Benchy has some issues, I like Benchy.
And that's the Benchy issue video will be this week. That's what we're doing this week. Unless Greg has another plan, but that's my plan. Benchy video this week, just so y'all can see it.
Well, we'll see who gets their editing done first, I guess.
I've already got all shot, so.
Well, you're way ahead of me.
By the time I get those sound effects in there, I tell you. So that's kind of like our calibration story, guys. It's not much of a story, I know, but it is an important lesson to learn. Especially when you're dealing with like pet cheese, like the scientist guy. So this one here, this is the recommended test print for Polymaker, Polylite, and Polylite PETG and PLA. And nice. They recommend this guy at 90 millimeters per second when you're doing PLA. That's like, he's literally called 90 millimeter a second scientist.
I thought it was 90 millimeters because that's how tall he is.
No, maybe. Because he's 90 millimeters. I thought it said per second because I printed him at 90.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you printed it at 90. I think he's 90 millimeters.
Most of the other ones. Oh, he's right. Okay, fine. I misread that. So apparently, I printed way too fast. But
it looks awesome.
It really does. I'm happy with it. The cool part, I know I said we were done, but the cool part is Prusa Slicer lines the seam or lined my seam right up the back in between like the cape where you can't even like see it. It's there, but it's gone. So I liked it. So that is our story with Calibration Friends.
Yeah. And I think we can skip the next one we have in the notes because we kind of covered it.
Yeah, what did we print this week? A lot of calibration. Yeah. The only thing that I could add to that would be I printed a few, I printed the cases, the test pieces, the mount for my inductive leveler.
And what did you guys print this week? That's that'd be good to know. Like, Ray, have you been doing imprinting?
Well, Ben's always printing some sort of mod.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
He's got to have printed something fun.
Yeah, so throw in chat what you guys have printed, and then we'll know what's going on there. So while you guys are throwing that in chat, we had... there's been a couple of questions on forums, and so we just threw this in here as a topic. Is what pie is good for AstroPrint? And so I could tell you what pie is not good for AstroPrint. It works, but you really don't want to use it, is the Pi Zero.
Yeah.
It's not even supported technically, but it works.
Well, they've been saying it has been supported for forever, right? So the Pi Zero is slow. We prefer anything like 3B or better. And honestly, if you're just running a single instance of AstroPrint, don't even bother with a 4. Unless you're going to be doing multiple instances on one Pi. Then maybe look at a 4.
Now, that being said, I have 3 Pi 4s, 2 gigs, on one on each of my printers running single instance, and it works great.
Mm-hmm.
I never slows down. It works great. I was running this guy here. This is the 3A. But in order to use the 3A, it only has one USB port. Mm-hmm. So if you want a camera, you have to get a little hub, and it's just kind of a pain. If you're not running a camera, that'll work fine. And it wasn't a speed issue. It's just the number of ports is the issue on the 3A. So just throwing it out there. We like the 4. you don't even need 2 gig Pipe 4, or 1 gig would be fine. You definitely don't need the 8 gig.
No. You definitely don't need the 8 gig. Unless you have like a really like I bought like or a CNC mill. So we had I'm designing an optical encoded filament jam. See, I knew Ben was doing something cool. I knew it. Dominic says, while doing tolerance tests, width and height are very important, and you are absolutely right. So if I go to this screen here, and let's just bring up this.
That's true. Is spinning.
Just wait. Okay, reconnected. We're back, guys. We're back. Maybe. I have no idea what's going on, guys. I'm very, very sorry. Anyway, if you're printing these, watch your flow and height, like Stig says. 0.2 resolution on this would be great. And then make sure that your flow is perfectly calibrated to break through that test. So I'm not sure why we keep dropping our stream. So I apologize, guys. What do we got?
Raymond's printing some, Bowflex replacements popping up for the new year.
It's New Year resolution time.
Yeah. And then we got a NeoPixel question. Just installed NeoPixel on a CR10. I think we just lost our feed again. Have some issues.
No, it's back.
With longer prints, and it goes into thermal runaway and call problems with E1. The power. Okay, so yeah, that could be a config issue. It could be sometimes the. Have you PID'd the CR10 with the hot end and bed? Because that can solve some issues with thermal runaway. There's also different. What's with our stream today?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's on our end or their end. Like on my end, I got lots of bandwidth and headroom.
Keeps going down.
Guys, give us a second. We're just we're gonna troubleshoot a few things and be right back. Here, have a start screen for now. We're back. We're here.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. We're not sure quite if it's us or YouTube.
Yeah, let us know.
Does it?
Let us know if that is any better on your end. And then hopefully we're good. For some reason, I think it's on YouTube side, but I'm not sure. So going back, it could be a config in Marlin, or it could be how you're running the actual LEDs. Like, are you using the I think you said it was on a turbo, right? So are you using the hat, or are you right into the board?
Yeah, if
you got a bad
really
5-volt rail.
You really need to use the DC to DC hat because of the extra draw that's put on the 5-volt subsystem. And so that DC DC hat gives nice stable 5-volt power. It converts your 12 or 24 to a nice stable 5-volt to allow it to run the NeoPixel. So I know in theory you can plug directly in without that DC to DC hat, but there's a reason why they built that hat is a lot of people are having
Issues.
voltage drops, and it depends on how many neopixels, because you know how you can cut the strips. Well, like if you have a longer strip, it's obviously going to draw more. So just be aware of that when you're doing it. See if that makes a difference. And so if you can throw into chat whether you have that extra board or not, that'd be
if you actually have the hat. The other thing too is when you don't use the hat, you can play havoc with your auto bed leveling, especially the BL Touch. Lots of people, I've heard the question several times, like my pin keeps dropping randomly,
and that's the voltage.
And Ben commented too. It sounds like the regulator overload, and yes, definitely,
I think we're all in agreement, but it'd be good to know if you have that extra DC to DC board or not. And if you don't, it might be something to consider and unplug those pixels, and then make sure everything's working with the pixels unplugged, and then kind of maybe consider picking one of those up. They're pretty cheap.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not something that you have to like worry about breaking the bank on. Only downside is when you're ordering them, it could be coming from China, depending on where you're looking at.
Unless you have a good local supplier that stocks those. So and there's more and more places all over the world that there's some smaller companies that will stock them. So because Big Tree Tech is pretty popular right now for the type of board. So
and like I've seen them at a couple Canadian reseller websites even. So yes, PID done, thermostat 100K, glass mounted even with the wires. Even the wires knew the hat is also mounted. The jumper is moved to the right, and so at that point it almost sounds like you have a hardware issue. I would probably say you could put a voltmeter on the output of the LEDs just to see what you're sending that way, just to see if you're sending a 5 volt or if it's fluctuating.
Yeah, because if it's getting to the end of your LED strip and it's way below, then you're going to be stressing stuff. So just check that out.
Yeah,
and that now the other thing, he says it's a CR10, does he not?
Yes.
So CR10 only has a 12 volt power supply, so that could be an issue, because I think even though the Big Tree Tech boards say 12 to 24 volts and the DC to DC is set up, it could be that the 12 volts going into the board itself is dropping the voltage, and it's not a full 5 volts coming out the other end.
It could be.
So you may want to check that.
And I know
quick solution for that is you could power your board separate from everything else.
That's true. Just before Christmas, I was having an issue on my CR10 with the fans randomly spinning down and up and down and up and down. And the problem with that was the power supply was set under voltage. So if you go right to your PSU, right, and test your output on that and see if you're getting like a full 12. And you can go a little bit above 12, but remember, the higher voltage doesn't mean higher amperage. It actually is the opposite. So you don't want to crank it to I'm just going to go to 15 and then I'll have so much power. No. No, don't do that.
Yeah. So check the voltage coming off of your 12 volt power supply on your CR10. And like David said, make sure that if it's 11.9,
just bump it up a bit.
maybe 12.2.
Yeah, on mine, guys, I set mine up to it went to 13, and then I took the screwdriver off, and then it went to 12.9. So a little bit over isn't going to hurt anything, but you don't want to. If your power supply is crazy, you'll end up running into problems. So the other thing is you could send us your config. So you can either send it to David at or Greg at 3dmakeit.ca. Send us your config and config H and your
And a
pins.
lot of times we do that with people on Facebook too. They'll go to our Facebook group and they'll ask for some help, and then we'll upload and download files from there too.
Yeah.
So there's many ways to get in touch with us, and so feel free.
Well, and that's one of the ways too that we draw like ideas for videos, I guess too, right? If enough people have the same issue in the Facebook groups and stuff that or the Facebook page or in chat, right? Facebook chat. We have a Discord. I haven't been there in a while. But we'll pull videos from those. So but I think that you start with the power supply and then work your way out towards where you need to be. You could take it to 12.5. Yeah, and totally. And you can go up to 13. Like we said, like I was at 13 and then it popped down a bit. He's got to be sitting at his printer with a voltmeter because he just posted the voltage is set to 12.8. And
well, or he's done so much troubleshooting because it's pissing him off that he's already answered all the questions we're asking.
That's true. Do you have when you're plugging your NeoPixels in, you don't have any resistors in line with them or anything like that? You're just going straight to the NeoPixel and they're not firing on at all, right? Is that, I'm correct, Greg? They weren't firing on? The printer goes into thermal runaway. That's definitely a power drop from those pixels. You can cheat too. Now I'm gonna name drop of
NeoPixels should have resistors built on.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
so you shouldn't be adding extra resistors to your NeoPixels.
No, like the original line. If you have like a super old set, you might need to just to get rid of some noise. But like the problem almost seems when we're talking about like thermal runaway happening, is it, and he says it's with the extruder, not the bad. You could get a separate power supply and try to, if you take your NeoPixels away, your board works, I would assume. If you run, and like Greg suggested earlier, if you were just to run the board in the NeoPixels, they probably work. But you could put another a small power supply in to run just the hot end or just the NeoPixels.
Yeah,
but that's like super.
That seems like.
What kind of power supply is it? Is it the one that is it stock?
Is it the stock Meanwhile? Was it a
no? They're junk.
They were like
if it's the stock one, throw it away. Buy the Meanwhile. That's probably your issue right there. But let us know what kind of power supply it is. This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
So you might want to send us. Greg popped our emails in there, or you can send us a Facebook and we can take it offline. They work fine, no extra resistor mounted. Okay. And then the only bad symptom he's getting then is thermal runaway when they're on.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's some sort of weird draw.
It's definitely a
I guess
draw.
You could watch your temperature as just before you get the thermal runaway and see if it's really struggling to maintain voltage, because it might just be too much load on that 12 volt power supply. We had a brief conversation about converting your old CR10 to 24 volt.
Yeah,
but I know you never did.
No, well, I parted out like all the things I would need, which would be a new 310 by 310, heated build plate, and then just a cartridge. It was like $60 plus the power supply.
Right.
So it wasn't that bad. How's the progress for the Core XY video? Blink, blink, Greg.
Blink, blink. But you want a video to see David's Core XY or talk about Core XY?
I think he
don't remember
references
making a video.
the musing of building a Core XY with the stuff.
Oh,
I think.
Yeah. Oh, and I was talking Core XZ the other day too. So.
Oh, this is true. We can make a Core XY.
He said
video.
he has a meanwhile.
Could be voltage drop when you're heating the node, and that's so that's definitely the symptom. I think Ben probably hit close to the answer there, and that is like I've had 2 DOA SKR boards where they haven't worked, and I've had I suspect the one that's in my current CR10 is a little iffy because of it's a similar issue, but I don't have thermal runaway, but the hot end fan will spin funny. So I suspect you might have a board like issue.
I'm wondering if because you only really need the data from the NeoPixel, right? The controller. Yeah. You could probably run a separate 5-volt power supply to run the NeoPixels. Yep. And then just put the data lead directly onto the board, so you're not stressing the board, and then that would eliminate the strain or any rippling that might be caused by drawing from the board.
Yeah, and like Ben's popped in another comment there, and it's just putting a resistor.
Did you say resistor or capacitor?
100 microfarad electric capacitor. Yeah, capacitor. So
and then that would stabilize
the power,
the voltage going to. And I've seen a couple people post in that they've done that, because then any big draws from like the lighting change or whatever draw down the capacitor, and then it just trickles back up to the full. So that's a really good option, Ben. Yes, I was talking about the Voron the last week in our chat, and I said I'm Core XZ curious.
Yes, you can, Greg. Ben said yes, you can. I think that either solution, though, like the capacitor, or probably even the separate voltage, like just using a USB thing you got with your iPhone and cutting the power out of it, out of the cable or whatever.
I mean, it's a hack, but at least you could set up something to test it because if it is a ripple in the 5-volt subsystem, then Ben's right. Like you want to try something to stabilize it, and a capacitor or external power supply would do it. And as long as you're getting the signal, so you probably still need your signal and ground also connected to the board, so that you could, or do you just need this? You need the signal and ground, right, to be able to send the signal to change the light.
Yeah. But I think like troubleshooting wise too, both are acceptable answers. Like a capacitor, if you have a capacitor kicking around, try it. If you don't have a capacitor kicking around, if you can pop off and just get the USB voltage going out straight from like an adapter or another source, you will know if you have a ripple.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Or an oscilloscope. Get a good.
Yeah, I don't have an oscilloscope.
I got one. And you can get them pretty cheap now too off of Amazon. I think you can get a $40 one that hooks to your phone through an app now. But you could definitely do that. I'm thinking about getting the K3D Core XY kit for the Ender. Yes. Thank you guys tomorrow. Yes, held you. Yeah, you got her. No worries, man. So I have an opinion on converting like Enders into Core XYs.
Enders are really good printers.
I know, right? Like what I would convert is a CR10 maybe, but
this is a hobby.
Yeah, if you want to do it, do it.
You know, and so if like I didn't need to put a Chimera on my Anycubic, but I did. Oh, speaking of Chimera, did you hear they're relaunching the Chimera?
Well, because the last one didn't work so well?
No, it worked all right.
Or they just have parts again?
I think they're either relaunching or redesigning. I'm not sure, but they just announced on Twitter and Facebook today that the relaunch is coming.
Cool.
And so
I wonder if they're trying to compete with because that other one from Big Tree Tech, the clone, it's out. So I wonder if they're trying to compete with like the launch of that one.
I don't know,
but like I think it would be cool to do a Core XY on it for sure. And if you had an extra one just kicking around for sure, I think the size of the ender, you could get it printing fairly quickly because it's so small, and you could build it sturdy. Like I'm looking at my ender sitting here beside me, guys, and I'm like, with like 3 extra pieces of extrusion and a couple gears, you could do it.
Yeah. No, a small build plate Core XY could probably screen pretty fast.
The big ones screen,
you're not the weight you're throwing around is the distances is not as bad. I guess it would be, can it get up to the acceleration speed to do the faster speeds on the smaller footprint, whereas you've got a longer run on like your printer, the SX4 has a longer run to get up to speed. So
well, and that's why
interesting.
That's like that's why on a Core XY, you always see higher accelerations because. And another point to make, guys, is on your Core XY, if you try to use a lower acceleration, there is a point where your acceleration will cause layer shifting. Because your Core XY needs acceleration and it needs torque to throw that head around the way it does.
Yeah. So as long I guess you could put larger stepper motors to speed it up. Yeah. And the H2 does look really, really cool as the Big Tree Tech new Chimera clone. It does look pretty cool.
Like it might be something that I try because Greg already has the Chimera, so I'm like I might try it. Pierre says he has a Chimera and an Arrow, and the Arrow I think is still a really good extruder. I think that it has a lot of positive value in that it's a little more customizable than the Chimera, just like this much.
Now, was that the one that had the? No, I'm thinking of the one that had the water cooling. Never mind.
Yeah, well,
that wasn't the Arrow.
The Arrow has a water cooling version. Was it that one?
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, Ben.
So that you could have it inside your enclosure and have it cooled separately from outside.
Yeah, there's an Arrow Aqua or something. I forget that, but like, I saw one guy hooking his up last night, and he said, "Is this normal?" And it's just dripping out of the couplings. No, that is not normal.
It's too hot.
Ben said the E3D had a problem, Chimera, with the custom stepper motor, and I wouldn't doubt it, but I'm not going to say that because I
don't think there was a problem with the motor. I think the problem was getting the quantities they needed of the motor. I think it was the problem. Especially, and then just after the launch, everything went crazy and they couldn't get enough of it. So yeah.
I'm just typing to Raymond.
Yeah, Raymond, that you're right. The Mars is a Core XY. So what's the fastest you've ever printed on that little guy? Because that's a nice little printer. I was eyeing it up when it was on clearance at school.
Yeah, and Ray, if you send me an email, I'll send you firmware. I owe you firmware, so it will be done. But like when you look at like the hot end situation right now, too. Like there's I forget the name of it right now, but there's a push to make them like remember like the Zesty Nimble. Remember those. And if you guys aren't familiar, it's a detached direct drive solution for your Ender or whatever, right?
They move the stepper off to the side and just have like almost like a speedometer cable that can do all the retractions and everything. It looks pretty cool.
And then
hey, thanks very much for the 30. Is it Nook? I do believe that's is that the Netherlands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Man,
that's
thanks.
Awesome.
Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Man, I missed a few comments. Hemera in my Ender 3 and Titan Arrow on my CR10S. Did you have issues with your Hemera stepper, Ben? Just curious. I know we haven't had any over here. The other one I was thinking was the Orbiter.
Oh, Stig, thanks so much.
Oh, wow. Guys, thanks so much.
That's very generous.
We appreciate you. More than you know. Have you heard of the Orbiter, Craig?
No, I haven't.
So it's
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I think I saw something, but I didn't watch the video yet.
Yeah.
It's a more compact kind of version.
Yeah, so it's like a little. It's a direct drive, and its claim to fame is it's. I think it was like about 130 grams instead of the 285. Right?
That's pretty light.
They're fixing some issues, so don't buy it yet. But it's open source too. It's on Thingiverse. You can print all the parts and order the stepper. But like, it looked really cool. It looks like it could be a competitor in the Hemera space.
Yeah, the hot. Ben just put it in there. Yeah, there's a lot of those new kind of clones of the mosquito. Now, like the dragon fly is one of them. There's a few different ones. I noticed on Big Tree Tech they had a number of them. That you can also get the replacement heat breaks now. With they have the surgical tube in the center, and then they have copper on both sides, so that the heat doesn't transfer up the brake, and you can convert your existing hot end. I'm kind of curious about maybe trying some of those just to see if you can go to one of those on a stock Ender and get the benefits of all metal hot end just with the stock cooler. So there's lots of really cool stuff out there. I definitely think it's cool. And Ray threw in there, he prints at 125 all the time, and he's gone up to 200 on his little mini Core XY. So that's really cool.
Like those Core XYs, they're built for, like, obviously the intent is not speed, but they're stable. They like speed and acceleration. Like they like it. There is a point where it's too fast, but they thrive on torque. 721, yeah. So yeah, Ben says he likes his. Ben says he has no issues with his Hemera, but I have heard similar reports to the steppers, and there was also an issue with the housing they were using.
Yeah, there was cracking and whatnot. I've checked mine. Mine's fine, but I'll be honest. I have been doing so much printing on the CR10 and the Ender that my poor Bumblebee over there in my Anycubic is just sitting there all lonely with 3 spools stacked up on the print bed. So I really should not neglect it, and I should get using my Hemera again.
3D printers are not for storage. You should print with them.
Well, you don't want to see what my MakerBot Replicator 2 looks like.
Well, I think I remember.
It's full of Mandalorian armor right now.
Do you still have your Greg bought his very first printer was like an A8?
Yeah, ANET A8, and I still have it, and it's still functional and it still works.
And you'll notice that his house is not burnt down.
Yes, and that's because I put a ATX power supply on it to replace the janky power supply that it came with. So yeah, that one I think might find a second life one of these days in another project, but I haven't decided what yet.
It's one of those things. Like, I print with all my printers probably, if not every day, like every other day, right? But my favorite thing is seeing giant printers like the SX4 or the Chiron print Marvin. Something like he's big.
Raymond knows I bought a whole bunch of extrusion, and I've done nothing with it yet, Ray. So it's sitting here, and I've got to sit down with David and go over some ideas, and I've got some ideas. Like some of it I want to use for CNC, some of it I want to use for something else. So I've got drawers of parts. So now I just got to actually start build and film the projects. So it's just a matter of doing that.
And my studio is changing up here too, but we'll touch on that in probably a few weeks here. You'll see. The problem with the Mara is that this is Ben says, by the way, Ben says,
I agree.
The problem with the Mara is the mounting tabs on the motor. If you screw, yes, and that's exact. Those little, they break, and it's annoying.
Okay, Pierre wants to see my Mando stuff.
Okay, but you have to keep your headset on. Oh, never mind. He took it off. Like, wouldn't it be funny if he was leashed and he couldn't quite get there? I think it would be hilarious. But I gotta say, guys, I have a full video coming out on like the upgrades for the Ender and stuff. But that inductive probe that I got, I paid $11 for it, and I love it. Oh, he's putting it on. You guys get the whole show. How are you going to get your headset on? He's not thinking about it, right? Like, you need Bluetooth in there. Now he's blind.
Of course, I can't hear when I have this on, but this is my helmet. I haven't quite finished the painting and whatnot, but it took 72 hours for that one. And then got my headphones back on. And then I've got my wrist piece. I had to enlarge it so it would go over my big fat wrists. So there you go. There's some of my Mando armor.
Yeah.
And then I've got the shoulder pieces. And I ran out of filament, so I had to change it a couple times. I used some roll ends for that one.
Oh yeah.
And so there you go. There's some of my Mando prints that I've done, and they were just sitting over in the MakerBot just so they were out of the way.
Yeah, one of the we're starting the project this week, but we're going to be doing the dead mouse. You know, the helmet. It's a mouse head with the flashing LEDs in the helmet, and so it's a NeoPixel project. So we might do that on the video format. Is that something you guys want to see, like a big giant printed helmet and project finishing?
Because I mean we
don't do a lot of that.
Yeah, we've been focused on a lot, the 3D printing stuff, but we both have some Arduino experience, not tons. So if you want to see some projects that incorporate some NeoPixels and Arduino and that sort of thing, we can definitely add some of those.
Did you get those files from Nico? ? Greg.
No, I didn't. I have some other files from Nico that I got, but those I got. The helmet I got from. Where did I get it from? I went online and I purchased it. I can't remember who I purchased it from, because the one on Thingiverse I didn't like the look of, and so if I can find it, I'll dig it up, and then next Sunday I'll throw it in the the notes and see what we could do.
Yeah, I was joking about that too, Dominic. I said he should put some Bluetooth in the helmet so we could hear him. But like he has, I happen to know that I don't know if they would fit, but would your AirPods or your Galaxy Buds stay in your ears while you shove the helmet on?
Oh yeah, they would, but it would probably sound kind of funny.
He'd be talking inside of a tin can. Hello? Hey Ben, it's not that cold up here, man. It
was nice. It was +7 yesterday.
Well, I guess that's cold compared to Texas.
Well, okay, yeah, but +7. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit for all our American
76, I think, or something there. I don't know.
Yeah, it was actually quite nice. We haven't had and we really don't have much snow. I don't think there's any snow on my front lawn right now.
No, I haven't. We haven't seen snow since Christmas, and then it was here and gone. Although you was it on Tuesday? Fun fact: we lost power in Lethbridge, where we live in southern Alberta. We had hurricane-forced winds, 150 kilometers an hour
in the city.
So that's what's 150 in American? Like that's almost 100 miles an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's in the city. Yeah. Like it's very unusual. There was trees just snapped instantly. Our office, where I am, the office building I'm in, it has a generator, and so I had to run a couple extension cords from the server room just to power my computer, and then all of the other building, all the admin of the other building came over to our building because we were the only one with power.
And then I came to pick something up, and I'm like, "Whoa, there's a party here."
Yeah, but at least they were all wearing masks.
Yeah, you know, everybody doing their thing. But the long story short of it is, Ben, you're always welcome up here, man. If you show up in southern Alberta,
look us up.
We'll hang out. And if we're ever down your way, we'll hang out.
Absolutely.
I haven't been that far south, though, in the Americas yet. I've been down to, I think the farthest south, I've flown south, right? But Vegas. Reference Arduino. Love the Arduino and things you can do with it. Yeah.
It is. It is great. I mean, when you think about it, that's how all the 3D printers started before they went to the 3D printer or 3D 32-bit boards. They're just Arduinos, right?
Yeah, and I mean
they're little robots.
The one of the most successful ways to flash or burn a bootloader onto the Ender 3 original boards was an Arduino. I can't tell you how many. Like when we were doing those ones, we had the batch, and we probably had half of them that used the ISP work. So that thing Greg has in his hand, that worked half the time, but the other half of the time it just screwed up, didn't write a bootloader, and it bricked them, and then you'd have to get an Arduino anyway. Which is a good thing we ordered the boot or the Arduino, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, look, that's how fast the wind, or steak, I should say. Sorry, that's how fast the wind was. 45 degrees, I guess, is a little bit chilly, Ben. I'm sorry.
I needed a toque, and I needed, and if you're international, don't know what a toque is. It's a very Canadian thing. It's a wool hat.
It's a beanie. It's a beanie that's thick and goes over your ears.
A wool hat,
but
we call it a toque in Canada.
Yes.
So take off, eh?
Yeah. I love it. Hey, so guys, I want to say thanks for the super chats that came through.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You guys
That's very generous.
Great and awesome. We appreciate those. We hit us up if you have any questions weekly that we can discuss in the groups and stuff. The other thing would be keep your eyes peeled. We're going to have a video dropping this week, and it's a race between Greg and me. So
so far, David's winning.
Yeah, I've got it recorded. I just got to edit it. But yeah, anyway, you guys, it's been fun. We've been here about an hour, and I know that there's other streams starting here that lots of us are going to as well. So we will.
So thanks everyone for coming.
Talk to you later.
Thanks again for the super chat, and talk to you later.
Ciao. I hit end on YouTube.